CHCI Alumni Association, and also to Patti and Danya, who have honestly been very, very helpful. They have supported us in every way. And so I just want to say thank you for everything. And I know the national work feels the same way, as well as the regional chapter presidents. I think you'll, again, or later on today, you'll hear a little bit more about Alumni Connect, about some of the regional events that have happened. And I think without CHCI investments and without Marco championing these events and these ideas, we wouldn't be able to do it. So thank you again, Marco. And I will kick it over to the CHCI team first to maybe introduce themselves.
Okay, sorry, everybody. Hi. Sorry, it took me a minute to run upstairs from another meeting that I had.
No worries.
So my up
here, Marco.
I
give you the floor now.
There you go. Hey, everyone. Buenas noches. Good to see you all. Happy to be here. Thank you, Adriana, for your leadership. Thank you for pulling together, and thank you for the kind words that you just mentioned. I really appreciated that. I will start by sort of saying something I think I've said hopefully enough times that it's going to sound trite and tired, but I'm going to say it again anyway. When I first, it's actually, and by the way, for the record, I still feel like I'm relatively new, although I just passed a couple of months ago, 5 years here at CHCI in this role. So I think it says something that it still feels fresh and new to me, and not at all in any way something that is old news. When I first started talking about this position and applied for the role and so on, one of the things that really struck me was the conversations I had with people about the alumni. I really came to realize that sort of anyone I would talk to, the pattern I started to detect was that just about anybody I would talk to about CHCI, and so you're familiar with CHCI, do you know anything about CHCI? And people would be like, yes, yes, yes. And interestingly, not the first thing that would come out of their mouths was the gala, even though some of us might assume that is the first thing that comes out of people's mouths is that they've been to the gala. Actually, I think the first thing that I heard most frequently from people was like, yeah, I know CHCI. I know someone who did the program, right? I think that is sort of one of the most universal reactions people have. If they're familiar with CHCI, if you ask them, it's because they've had an interaction, they've worked with, they've connected with in some way, shape, or form, someone who's an alum. And so for me, that was something that really stood out, was that the alumni, I thought, were really the greatest resource and one of the most untapped resources, I think, of the organization. And so as a result, when I came on board, I really talked about the fact that I thought we needed to make a commitment. We needed to invest in our alumni engagement, our work with our alumni, right? And that's everything from the nuts and bolts of how to get in touch with our alumni, right? The common question you get into when you start thinking about the alumni network is sort of like, how do we reach them? And which then led to sort of like, how many of them can we reach? Which then led to like, how do we get in touch with the folks we've lost touch with, right? And so we've been doing that over the last several years. And I think I saw, if memory serves, I think I saw our good friend Janet Arias Martinez, who, with all due respect to all the great efforts that came to do alumni work before I got here at CHCI, I want to at least shout out Janet, given that when I first started at CHCI, Janet was the person most responsible for working with our alumni. And she was the one who really sort of walked me through all of the work that we were doing for alumni, all of the ideas, all of the feedback. And let's be honest, a lot of the complaints that up until that point, the alumni were sharing about CHCI either was or wasn't doing. And so starting with Janet and certainly now with Patti and our newest addition, Danya, we've really made a concerted effort to invest in our alumni network. And hopefully that's starting to show up for you all. Again, as Adriana was just alluding to, you're going to hear about some of the concrete things we're doing, but it really was a very deliberate, explicit effort for us to say, we need to elevate the work that we do with our alumni. We need to dedicate more of our resources, and also let you into a secret. If you all don't know about sort of nonprofit management, the vast bulk of the resources we were able to invest in our alumni work was essentially on general support funds. There were funds that we had to deliberately, they weren't designated for alumni affairs. We actually didn't have alumni affair funding. We've been fortunate enough to actually get some funding finally now dedicated to our alumni work, but for several years, we just did it because we wanted to, and we pulled it from other places and didn't spend it on other things because we thought that was the most important piece. And so that's the impetus, that's the reason, that's the rationale behind doing this. And yeah, I'll tell you that there is a devious master plan that I think each one of you are, if not current, future donors for CHCI. We want you to give back. But the reality is, again, as I mentioned, the truth is to truly achieve our mission of, quote, developing the next generation of Latino leaders, I think we have to continue to work with you all far beyond the length of your internship or your fellowship or your next gen program, and engage with far more than we ever did for those of you who received the scholarship from us. We need to support you as you go on your leadership journey really throughout the rest of your lives, in part because, again, you are truly a part of the CHCI community, the familia, but really, frankly, selfishly, because we need you to lead, right? Because that's what the community needs. That's what we want to do is to support you and lift you up to the point where you all are having impact for our entire 65 to 68 million person segment of the US population, so that you are having far, far more impact than you ever did before. And so we need to keep supporting you on that journey so you go down that path. So those are the things that we're doing. We did a strategic plan effort, I guess last year at this point, where we really, and a few of you on this call, I suspect, were some of the folks that we did some focus groups from alumni. We engaged some of our board and advisory council members. We engaged some of our sponsors and our volunteers and certainly our staff. And we really asked folks to identify sort of like what are, the classic SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and what were sort of some of the greatest assets that CHCI had, and what is some of the work that it does best, right? What are some of the things that it should do? And interestingly, it was the consultant who was an alum herself. We were growing our own, leaning on our own resources. The consultant who worked with us sort of said, one thing we heard really loud and clear was three things. And I was surprised because I was like, CHCI does two things. We do our programs, we do our convenings, we do our events. And they were like, no, we're hearing three things. And they were like, we're hearing CHCI does its programs, CHCI does its convenings, its conferences, and its issue summits and so on. And CHCI does its alumni network, right? And that was where we explicitly pulled it out. And so within our own strategic plan, the alumni component is a third pillar, frankly, fundamentally, of our organizational mission. That's how much, how important and significant it is. And so that's really sort of a core piece of the work. And so as we think about the work that we do, as we think about the direction we go in, we keep alumni in mind. And so as we think about our programs and how we expand and reach more people, part of it is, how are we going to engage them? How are we going to work with them? And how are we going to bring them into the alumni network, right? Once they go through our programs, how are they going to contribute and add and benefit the alumni network, right? As we think about expanding our program offerings, as we do our convenings increasingly, as you all have seen, and hopefully everybody's made plans already to come to HHM, we think explicitly about like, what are the paths, what are the ways we can encourage and support more alumni to come to our events, not just our conference and gala, but throughout the year. How do we get more folks to attend? How do we get more folks to engage and participate and serve as panelists and serve as speakers? And so every time we think about putting together our panels and putting together our sessions and identifying speakers, increasingly we're looking at our alumni network to sort of say, who do we know within our network who has expertise in this subject area, who we might be able to elevate, who we might be able to put on the stage, who we might be able to draw on. So it truly is, I think, very fundamentally integrated into our work. And so as you'll see, again, I think I'll really leave it to Adriana and to Patti and to the other folks on the call to really share with you the mechanics and the details and the specifics of what's being done and the latest iterations and examples and illustrations of the kind of work that we're doing to engage and work and support with you all, but certainly happy also to hear feedback. The only thing I'll say before I finish, before I break, is another piece of one final piece of fairly important news for CHCI as an organization, but doesn't necessarily have any particular impact, I think, at least the way we're currently structured on alumni, but that I think has potential to bode well for us. for the long-term future, which is to tell you all that we received unsolicited out of the blue late last summer an inquiry from an institution of higher education about our office building. And making a long story short, one thing led to another. And this institution, who I'm not at liberty to say because it's part of the negotiations, they've asked to keep it confidential, but they have made an offer to purchase our office building. And our board has actually voted to accept the initial offer and to enter into negotiations about the potential sale of our office building. Now, for those of you who don't know, this building that we have on 16th Street between L&M, 1128 16th Street, ahí tienen su casa, is actually the third office building that CHCI has owned. We've actually owned an office building 2 times before. So this is not new, not unusual, not unique in CHCI's history. But if all goes well, by the end of this year, essentially, we will sell this building. We will go into temporary office space. We work fairly hybrid as it is right now. Many of our staff work remotely. They are quite happy since the pandemic to work from home. And so we're not forcing people to come into the office. And so we're taking advantage of that flexibility to move into temporary space. But there is a vision to not just have a new permanent structure, a new permanent home, but we will for sure. So we will do that. We will look to purchase another office building at some point, and ideally an office building that has, as we've grown, as well in terms of our cohort size for our programs, to actually have meeting space that we can actually hold our trainings in-house. We've actually outgrown this current building in terms of our intern and fellow cohorts to do training. So we actually currently rent office space in other parts of town to do those trainings. So the idea is to have that new space, but there is a long-term vision that we'd love to see that we're doing some examination, some exploration about doing a capital campaign. If you all don't know, this is CHCI's 46th year. So we are 4 years away from our 50th anniversary. So one of the things we're going to be exploring with some folks is potentially in the lead up to the anniversary, to do a capital campaign to actually raise some money so that we not only purchase an office building, but to actually, and even our board is still split on this, so we're not 100% sure it'll happen, but it might, we'll at least explore the economics to purchase an apartment building, to actually own the apartments that we house our interns in for free. That you all know we provide free housing for all of our intern cohorts every year. And so the idea is that given the economics, given the math, it might just make sense to own our own space and to have it year round and to make it available for our interns, and then maybe even rent it out at other times. We could Airbnb is one of our sponsors, so we could slip right in there and become an Airbnb host as well when our cohorts aren't in town. But it's another idea of a revenue stream, and again, further institutionalization and further permanence for the organization. So I'll stop there in case there's questions. I think I've probably gone slightly over my time that you all allotted for me for this town hall, but I wanted to share all those highlights. And before I do, I also since I had to give shout outs, and I want to say hi to everybody, but I do also want to give a special recognition and appreciation for my dear friend and your fellow alum who I see has joined, Carmen Jorge, long time CHCI staffer who you all remember, who in fact was one of the first people, one of the first CHCI fellows I met actually when I first came to town. So from years ago, back in the day. So glad to have you, Carmen. Glad to see you here connecting with part of the alumni community. So I'll stop there. I saw there were a bunch of things happening, but I can't multitask like you all do. So I don't know what people all wrote in the chat. So I can read those if you want now, or you could move on.
Marco, there's one question that just came in. The others have been answered so far, is regarding alumni giving. If there's any data you can share around that, the samples were, there's percentage, averages, and if there's any benchmark targets for alumni giving specifically.
Those are all great questions, Vince. I think I see that you asked that question. I don't know that we have strong data on that. We've been very, very slow going. I'm of the philosophy that we only want, at least there are different approaches to this whole space, if you all don't know. My philosophy, my approach, the decision I asked us all to adopt was to not ask you all for donations to CHI in earnest until we provided enough value for you that it was just obvious, right? That it was something that didn't feel like a burden, or that we were simply asking you to essentially sort of pay back any of the money we spent on you all as we invested in you all as interns and fellows. In my mind, we needed to continue to give you value as alumni so that you felt that in some ways, again, that's a school of thought in the alumni giving space in higher ed, that it's like inspire people to be self-motivated, for them to volunteer to give back as opposed to asking people constantly to give back. And so we've been trying to build that space. And so we're just scratching the surface of that asking now. We did do what I can tell you is we did do a pilot campaign last year. We asked about 100 alumni to donate to CHI. I would sort of say we got probably like a 40% response rate, which was really great. And I would sort of say we raised somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000 from that small sample of alumni that we reached out to. And so that was very, very promising for us, right? It's the positive response rate. Usually I think typical fundraising appeals, it's like 5 to 10% that yield a result, and so on, that yield a response. So, and the average gift was probably about $100, if I had to guess, but I don't know that we had a very detailed analysis. What to me it symbolizes, again, is that I think we're on the right track. That I think we're getting to the point where folks might feel. I definitely also, as you can probably imagine, and hopefully would probably agree, given sort of what we know about our community and particularly about our alumni community. For me, the thing is to find a way to craft the ask in a way that no one should feel in any way either obligated or even guilted into donating if they're not in a position that they can comfortably give, right? It's to find, again, so many of our folks have so many financial responsibilities in their lives for themselves and their families, that the idea is not to sort of make it feel like there's yet another way they have to stretch themselves thin, but to really only make it so that if a person is so moved that they can, so we're going to make it easy. We're going to reduce the friction from giving back, as they say in the retail space, but not to sort of bombard you all with that. So that's something that we've been very careful about. But that's, again, on the horizon, and you'll see there's more to come. And again, we definitely welcome your feedback. If you feel like we're starting to push too hard or ask too much, please do let us know, because again, the last thing we want to do is turn off alumni from engaging with us because of that. Because again, we need you all for much, much more than just your dollars. It'll be nice to get your dollars, but we need you in many ways, your wisdom, your brilliance, your mentorship, your connection, your support for each other. And ideally, if we can help facilitate that, that's what we need as much, if not more, than the money. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Marco. Is there another question from anybody else? I think we have a few more minutes. Maybe one last question for Marco.
Congratulations on the GW.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, for those who don't know, I was named, I guess yesterday it went out. I was named a fellow. It's something called a Turker Fellow, but basically I'm going to be a fellow quasi in residence, because it's your local George Washington University with their School of Media and Public Affairs. So I'm very excited that for this upcoming year, in addition to all the fun things I'm doing with CHCI, I'll be engaging with the students there at that School of Media and Public Affairs over the year. I'll be, yes, lecturing once in a while, doing a brown bag, maybe doing an event. They did a welcome back to school event with a student fair. And sure enough, don't you know, they had the GW chapter of the National Association of Hispanic Journalists. And so I met all of their leadership already. They already sought me out. So we're looking forward to building a partnership and making even that benefit CHCI in some ways over the course of the year.
And Marco, the only other question that I had, and I'm sure everybody has the same question, is what are you most excited in terms of Hispanic Heritage Month and all the things that, CHCI is planning for? Maybe a small little glimpse you can give us into the kind of the planning that is going now.
Yeah, we are pedaling furiously. I am very excited for September 20th when everything is done. When it's over, I will be very excited when we finally finish. No, I think it's going to be another great year. Signs are last year we hit record numbers of attendees. So no pressure there to help us set another record. Please book your travel. We had somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,500 people attend the conference over the 2 days. And at the gala, if memory serves, our count was 2,300 people, which as far as we can tell, we also have not always had the best records over our 46 years. But as far as we can tell, that's our biggest number yet of attendees to the gala. And so signs are pointing to that we may match, if not exceed that, at least if the table sales continue apace. So we're excited about that. I mean, for me, that's one of the biggest things I'm looking forward to. I will also say we have not received official confirmation. The minute we receive official confirmation, we will certainly blast it out in a press release for the world to know. But not surprising to you all, we have invited the President of the United States once again. We've also invited the Vice President of the United States. You know, why not? This year. So we've invited them both to attend the gala. We have not received confirmation. We don't know that they're going to make it, but thankfully, this is one of the nice times when our members of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus truly feel that affinity for the organization and for the gala. And so they're adding pressure calls, which are far more effective than any calls I could make. So we at least feel optimistic that that's going to be possible. I think that'll be a great night if we get one or both of them addressing our community as they have in the past, but we can sort of build on that to sort of show our relevance in society. But yeah, I mean, it's just going to be another great week as always. I've been to many before I joined CHCI as an employee, and so I've actually lost count. But again, I never miss it whenever I can, because I think it's a really great time, and it's a really great coming together of our community.
Thank you. I think there's one more question there's two questions. Are there any volunteer opportunities for alumni? I'm assuming that's during the gala. That's the question for CHCI.
Well, I will tell you, there are opportunities to volunteer at the gala specifically. We still have can't remember what Marie calls it. I think it's the VIP spotter or something, the VIP committee. So there is that opportunity if you want to work and support and assist us in supporting our members of Congress, the few growing number of celebrities we have attend, et cetera, and significant public officials. You can sign up for that. We're happy to sort of circulate that sign up form for folks who want to engage. But I do want to take, since you didn't specify, Adriana, even though you said yes, we are growing and building opportunities for people to volunteer with CHI in general. Just a reminder, and my colleague Caroline Gonzalez Scott is on, I see, who can weigh in or can share or can send a link or something, but we always need more volunteers, for example, to read applications. Remember how amazing and hard you worked on writing your applications for these programs? We need people to read them carefully and to help us for selection. And we certainly are always looking for folks, and I believe the Alumni Association in specific is looking for folks to help mentor not just other alumni, but also program participants. So those are the starting points, but we're actually also thinking creatively about ways in which we can engage alumni more and more, and providing volunteer opportunities as a piece of that. And I will sneak ahead and sort of say, Janet, I saw mention the question about how the alumni base is growing. We have surpassed 5,000 alumni this year, so we're very excited about that milestone. And yeah, we're on track right now to add about 200 people per year between the 4 programs that we have each year. So far so good. Everybody seems to be pretty engaged, pretty active. All the recent year folks are pretty lively.
All right, well, I think that's all the time we have. But thank you again, Marco, for being here today. Thank you again for all the investments that you and the rest of the team have made towards the CHCI Alumni Association. We really appreciate it. And I know many of us will be seeing you in a couple of weeks. I think you're muted.
I'm muted, sorry. I said I'm going to go off camera, but I'm going to lurk unless you all need me to get off and don't want me here to hear you talk, but I'm happy to stay and listen and learn as you all continue the town hall.
Awesome, thank you. All right, thanks. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to a couple of different initiatives that we have started. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. 1 second. And let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Again, we covered the agenda earlier, and now I just want to mention again, thanks to the National Board for all their assistance. Thanks also to the regional chapter boards who again have done phenomenal work in their chapters. As you have seen the Instagram and on social media, all the different events that all of them have done in their regions. So thank you for all your work. You heard from Marco, and I'm not sure, is Jose here? Jose was going to cover affinity groups.
Hey, Adriana, I'm here.
Hey there. Jose, I'll hand over the floor to you so you can cover affinity groups.
Nice, thank you. Hey everyone, my name is Jose Garcia Madrid. I work with the National Board on leadership development matters. And so one of the items that we have been really working on for since we started our terms over like about 2 years ago, is launching the affinity groups. And so many of you might be familiar with the structure. Groups that are come together around a shared identity for a number of different purposes. And one of the things that as the Alumni Association, we try to figure out how to do better and better is how to engage with alumni and how to make it feel valuable and make it feel good and engaging. And the idea for the affinity groups came because we figured out that there were a lot, like Marco just said, over 5,000 alumni. And while CHCI is our core shared identity or shared experience, there's a number of other ways that many of us feel connected to each other, either through experiences we've shared or identities, things like that. And so with the affinity groups, we decided this year to pilot 2 separate groups and sort of see how it worked, both for the national board and the larger Alumni Association Leadership Board, Leadership Council, and also for the people who are engaging with us. And so the 2 groups that we currently have in pilot are an affinity group for Afro-Latinx alums and an affinity group for LGBTQ identified alums. And I think there's actually some people who, from the New York chapter on, who have been really key to helping us launch some of these groups. So I just want to say thank you for joining. But for the format of the groups is pretty simple. We are going to be hosting meetings every 6 weeks or so for each of these groups with different topics, different speakers, to sort of provide a space for people within those identities to come together and hopefully build some community. We had our first 2 groups, first 2 sessions for each of these groups about 2 weeks ago, I think, both for the Afro-Latinx and the LGBTQ affinity group. And I think we got some good feedback from the people who attended. The largest feedback I think we got from both groups is just a lot more outreach. There's over 5,000 alums. And so we should be able to fill these groups up with as much people as possible. So look out for an email. There is a blast that went out for the groups, for one of the groups about 2 weeks ago. Look out for another email blast with upcoming dates. But again, these are spaces for you all, for us all to get together, reconnect, both on our CHCI experience and also around the shared identity. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask at the Q&A session. It's possible that there might be some stuff going on with these groups during HHM. We're still working on that, so no promises. But if you plan to be at HHM and any of these groups are relevant to you or you're interested in, just be on the lookout for whatever we share out. I think I'm good, Adriana.
I think Adriana's having some audio issues, but I know, thank you, Jose, for giving us that overview of the affinity groups. It's incredible work. And next up, we're going to talk a little bit about Alumni Connect, and I think Yesenia is on that.
Hi, everyone. Yes, Adriana's having some tech issues right now. She will be trying to reconnect. And I can help with as it pertains to the next slide. I'm not sure. I don't think I'm able to switch it. But pretty much Alumni Connect, for those that are not aware, is its own platform for CHCI alumni, where we are able to, it's similar to LinkedIn, and it was pretty much launched in high demand from the CHCI alumni that have been asking for this. So it was launched earlier this year, and we've had so far a great response rate. The initial goal was 500 individuals to join, and we are pleased to say that we've gone over that goal. We are at about 510 or so. Once we are able to recover a little bit control of the screen, I know there were some slides that had had some data that we wanted to share with individuals. And also the data included the breakdown of so far the makeup of those that are part of the CHCI Alumni Connect, which you're going to see that there's a large margin either via industry or also via chapter. For those, again, we maybe can drop the link or more information on the chat about the Alumni Connect. Individuals are able to download an application easily accessible through their mobile device, create an account, upload a photo, put a little bit of information about your background, and then able to connect with individuals that, you're either seeking to mentor or be mentored by. So they're very excited. And also sometimes there are some sneak peeks that come to the Alumni Connect page before it gets publicly available to the rest of the alumni, including sometimes some discounts for some of the merch that has become live and for people to be able to access. Let me see if Adriana is back so we can try to switch the slides.
I'm screen sharing
Oh, okay.
now. So is this the slide you wanted on right now?
I still see the affinity groups on my end.
I see the Alumni Connect slides.
All right. Okay. Might just be on my end and that it's showing this. Yeah, if Angelica, Brian, Jose want to go over those slides and some of the data that you see on the screen.
That sounds good. So these are just some of the data points that we wanted to pull out with regards to Alumni Connect. As you see, folks have been very excited about registering, and we have some of our largest registrations from our Next Gen Latino Leadership Program. So our younger alum are very active, which is very exciting to see. Second up, we have the Postgraduate Fellowship Program, Congressional Internship Program. And as Yesenia already shared, we're so excited for these categories to continue to grow, and we hope that with your support, we can do that. We also had some data by state, which we can take a look at, but another thing that we really wanted to point out was just the industries that are most popular among alumni who are registered on Alumni Connect. You'll see that nonprofit, government, education, public policy, and law are some of the top 5, but we also are widespread, right? So there's healthcare, financial services, and the more folks that we get to join this network, the more that we'll have availability in terms of different scopes and different areas of practice. The graphs by state, if you want to take a look at it, majority is DC. We really want to balance this out. So if you're from some of those other states that are not as represented, reach out to your friends and let them know that they can register using the app. Alrighty, well, I'm already talking. My name is Angelica, Vice President of Civic Engagement, but just going to give you an overview of some of our civic engagement initiatives, beginning with our board elections. Really want to encourage y'all on the call who are showing up tonight to consider running for the board. You're going to have some time to think about it. Our calls for nominations are going to open up on September 16th. So this is during HHM to give us a time to chat with each other. And we'll close on October 6th. So you have a good amount of time there to consider it, to submit your nominations and to get that application in. Our voting period is going to begin October 9th through the 20th. So we have about 2 weeks there to collect the votes and ensure that everybody has an opportunity to participate. And we're going to be announcing our results on October 28th, which puts us in a really good place to transition over a 2-month period to ensure that folks have the knowledge and all the resources that they need to be successful during the next term. And as with anything else on the slides, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. I know I'm personally happy to talk to you about what civic engagement work looks like within the board. So hit us up. And up next, we wanted to give an overview of our National Alumni Service Project. This year, we're going to be focusing on food insecurity as an issue. As about 2.7 million Latino families experience food insecurity at any point during the year. So we wanted to, one, raise awareness about this issue by hosting webinars, and second, host a basic needs drive. Really want to encourage folks to participate in this effort. If you are interested, please sign up at the link that is provided on the screen or scan the QR code. We'll also send this out to folks so that it's accessible to everybody, but just express your interest in participating and I'll follow up with you with some next steps on how you can participate in our National Basic Needs Drive. Alrighty, and the last point that I'm talking about here is social media takeovers. If y'all follow us on Instagram, you may have seen that our incredible alum have been highlighting what days in their lives look like, telling us a little bit about what their CHCI journey was like. If you're interested in participating, we're also going to send out a form. I'll put it in the chat right now so folks can take a look at it, but highly encourage you to plug in this way. Very lightweight and also a good way to engage with other alum across the country. Perfect. And a couple of networking receptions that are coming up. First up in Houston on Thursday, October 17th. If you're in this region or will be visiting, make sure to add it to your calendar. As always, we'll email it to you as well, so you have it on deck. And then we also have our DC Alumni and Family Social on Saturday, November 16th. Alrighty, and I will hand it back to Adriana if she is on the call.
Hey there, thank you so much. Sorry about that. I'm having technical difficulties. So I think as you can see there, upcoming events for HHM week will be, give me 1 second while I scroll through my actual screen. Will be alumni reunion reception, which is an exciting event. I know last year it was a full room. That's going to be on September 18th. And then we have our Alumni Association Cafecito, which was very well attended last year as well on September 19th. That's going to be from 10:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. We hope you guys can join us for that as well. And then we have our Alumni Awards Luncheon, which is September 19th, and that's right after the Cafecito from 12 p.m. to 1:30. Gala and after, as well.
Adriana, I'm gonna jump in really quick just to add, for folks that are already in DC, and unfortunately won't be able to join us for conference or gala, you are still very much invited to join us at our alumni reunion reception, our cafecito, and the luncheon. You would still register using the HHM registration link following the alumni path. And once you see the selection or the option for registration, you will see at the bottom an option to celebrate, or I'm sorry, to register for these 3 alumni only events. So y'all are, hopefully if you're in DC, invited to join us for these, should you not be able to join us at conference or gala.
Thank you. And then the next one, I'll kick it over to Jasenia, who's gonna give a special shout out to our regional chapter board leaders. And then I believe our Chicago chapter president, Maria Velasquez, and our Phoenix chapter president, Baltasar Hernandez, will be giving remarks on behalf of their chapter.
Hi, everyone, back again. As it was mentioned, Yesenia Lopez, I currently serve as the Vice President for the National Alumni Association Board, reporting live from Chicago. And I completed the Public Policy Fellowship from 2013 to 2014. So last year I celebrated my 10 years anniversary being part of the Alumni Association. And for my daytime job, I currently work for the state of Illinois government. That being said, as has been highlighted, alumni are the backbone of any institution, and maintaining consistent alumni engagement is crucial, right, to continue building community and ensuring that continuity. And we're, very excited and very grateful for the work that the regional leadership have been able to accomplish thus far, and always engaging new prospective alumni and also the ones that have been living in their region for a number of years. That being said, on the screen, you have seen the names of the regional chapters that we currently have. Our regional chapters keep growing, which it shows just how important the work that CHCI does and the lives that they're changing. So right now on the current screen, you're going to see San Antonio chapter president Adriana, Southern California chapter president Marina, and then we have Northern California chapter president, which is one of the newer additions to the group, Citlali. Then we have South Florida chapter president Charla, and Washington DC Metro chapter president Amaris. And in this slide, in the previous slide, you saw Maria Velasquez from Chicago, Baltasar Hernandez from the Phoenix area, Omar Padilla from Dallas chapter, Dr. Raviela Sosa from the Houston chapter, and Jesse Aman from the New York chapter. With that being said, I am gonna introduce one of our chapter individuals, and he is Baltasar Hernandez, who currently serves as the president of the Phoenix chapter. He did the congressional internship spring of 2014, and he currently is a program manager with the Nature Conservancy in Arizona.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon from Phoenix. And I just wanted to give some brief remarks from the Phoenix chapter of the CHCI Alumni Association. In the last year, I've enjoyed being a part of the Alumni Leadership Council and connecting with inspiring CHCI alumni leaders from across the country and in Arizona. In Phoenix, we have engaged with alumni at networking receptions. We've gathered for a Lee-sponsored Arizona Action Summit earlier this year, and we've connected with new folks at recruitment events around Phoenix. I wanted to share one highlight of my experience. Earlier this year, an ASU student, Clara Munguia, connected with me on LinkedIn and asked if she could attend our CHCI alumni reception in April of 2024. I encouraged her to attend, and she later applied for a CHCI Fall 2024 internship and was subsequently selected as an intern. As a CHCI alumnus, I'm proud to be a part of this pipeline of young Latino leaders who continue to have a great impact on our communities nationally and locally. Lastly, I would like to invite you, if you are an alumnus based in Phoenix or in Arizona, to connect with us at CHCI Phoenix on Instagram or send us a message at chciphoenix@gmail.com. In September, we'll be tabling at the Mexican Consulate's El Grito event at the Arizona State Capitol on Sunday, September 15th at 6 p.m. So come and say hi. I hope to connect with you soon, and I'll see some of you at Hispanic Heritage Month in DC. Saludos a todos.
Thank you, Baltasar, for that update. Next, we have Maria Velasquez, who currently serves as the Chicago chapter president. She did the congressional internship summer of 2014 and currently serves as the director of outreach for Illinois Congressman Jesus Chuy Garcia. Maria, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you, Yesenia. Hello, everyone. Like Yesenia said, I'm Maria Velasquez, the current chapter president. I participated in the summer 2014 congressional internship program. And I now work with Congressman Garcia here in the district. So I'm happy to share a few of the work that we've been able to do here in Chicago. So in May, we kicked it off by hosting a networking reception in conjunction with CHCI HQ. We were able to convene over 100 guests at our reception, including alumni, stakeholders, community members. I don't know if the screen stopped sharing, but in the photo to the top left is a photo of all the alumni that were at the reception. So it was really well attended. It was great to reconnect with folks. We also were able to convene a send up for the R2L students that spent the summer in DC this past June, July. In April, we also were able to partner with 10 local organizations that included the Museum of Mexican Art, the Museum of Contemporary Art, the Chicago White Sox, and CPS, Chicago Public Schools, to host El Día del Niño celebration. It's a really big holiday that's celebrated in Mexico and other countries in Latin America. So we were able to host an arts and crafts day with food, music, and community building. Alumni were able to volunteer and help us really kick off the ground that event. Next, we went ahead and partnered with Lululemon to do a wellness event. We really wanted to balance not only doing networking and very like high functioning events, but we also wanted to talk about wellness, holistic wellness, and mental health. So we did a yoga, sound bath, and meditation that was followed by smoothies. So that gave us an opportunity to connect on a Sunday morning, to do some self-care, share some smoothies, and connect on a different level. And we also were able to join our lead partners at one of the networking events that they hosted in Chicago. And we participated with Equality Illinois for Chicago's Pride Parade, which was the 51st anniversary, one of the biggest pride parades in the country. So happy to share that those are some of the work that we've done here in Chicago. We have a couple more items in the works for the end of the year. We do want to do something in October for Hispanic Heritage Month. So keep an eye out for that. If you're not following us on Instagram, please go ahead and do so. If you're in the Chicagoland area, that's where you can keep up to date with us. I know folks don't have Instagram, so then make sure that you email us and let us know so we can add you to our listserv where we try to send not only events, but any job opportunities that we have in the region or any events that are happening that other partners are hosting. And that's all I have. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Maria, and thank you, Baltasar, for all the work, and thank you to the rest of the chapters also. And I'm sorry about my computer literally froze and I had to like restart the whole thing. Can't even believe this happened today because I literally had my IT rechange my camera for this meeting specifically. But thank you again, Patty, specifically for jumping in on there and sharing the screen. I think our last part is we have some call to action items that we want to make sure that we include here. As we mentioned earlier, you know, we want more people to run for a board seat or join a chapter. I think obviously we've increased the chapters by an additional one this year, but we would love to see additional chapters in different cities, different states. So if you are interested, please reach out to us. Let us know if you know you want to start a chapter somewhere, or just if you have questions about how to do that, please let us know. And then as we mentioned earlier, elections are coming up. So please, you know, run for a board seat, whether it's on the national board or whether it's on a regional chapter board. We need more people to step up and serve. And, you know, just I'll be candid with you guys. It's a lot of work, right? And I think every leader here can say the same thing. It's a lot of work, but I think it's worth it. And we're doing it for our people. We're doing it for the next generation. So please step up and run for a seat if you can. The other part, if you don't want to run for a seat, I think you can, you know, join an affinity group. As Jose mentioned earlier, we have those 2 co-pilot groups, but we definitely want to increase, maybe like start additional affinity groups. I know I'm very interested in eventually starting a women's affinity group. So if you have other ideas on other groups, please reach out to Jose as well, who's been co-leading that initiative. Obviously register for Alumni Connect. Everything that Yesenia shared earlier on all the data points where alums live, you know, the different industries where alums work, it's all through, we're getting a lot of that through Alumni Connect. So without you being registered in Alumni Connect, we can't have that data. And that data is important to CHCI in terms of, you know, fundraising, but it's also important for us, also for the chapter board leaders to know where folks are, to know where folks work, so we can do more outreach. So definitely register for Alumni Connect. Our goal was to get to 500 by the time we had our town hall, which was initially supposed to be in April, and we exceeded that. But right now, as I told the board earlier this week, maybe we should go for another goal of 1,000, getting 1,000 alumni registered by the end of the year, by December 31st. And I think we can do it with your help if you reach out to your alum friends to just, you know, register. I think we can get it done. The other one is participate on a social media takeover. We've done a couple of those. And so we would love to see other alums, you know, share their everyday, what they do for work, or if they're like in law school. I think it's important for folks to see, you know, it's like you can't be what you don't see, right? And so I think through social media, you get to see, you know, where folks who look like us are at, and you get to, even for the younger folks, it's about dreaming more, having bigger dreams, right? And I think through the social media takeovers, it gives younger alums specifically a glimpse of what they could be doing in the future. And then of course, join us at HHM Week. Make sure that you sign up for the cafecito, and then the other events that week. And those are our call to actions. And then I think we have 3 minutes for any Q&A or any thoughts or any feedback, any concerns. So if you have any thoughts, any questions, please feel free to raise your hand or put it in the chat. And then I think the last part I was gonna remind folks about is the tiendita, which I believe it's already live. And if you want to purchase a CHCI sweater or any CHCI swag, you can do so by going into that. I think Patty just posted the link, the chci.org/tiendita. And I believe, yes, you can buy items at HHM. Is that correct, Patty?
All of these items can only be purchased through the tiendita. We will have samples at HHM for folks to, kind of see the look and feel of the items. Purchasing them on the tiendita allows us to have an opportunity for them to be shipped directly to you.
Hi, I'm sorry. I don't know how to raise my hand in this feature. But good evening, everyone. It's so nice to see everyone. I'm sorry I can't put my camera on. It's been a while since I've been involved with the CHCI chapter, so it's nice to be here. Just had a quick question about I believe it was I'm so sorry, the Infinity Group. Are there any instructions or ways that we could go about co-leading an Affinity Group?
Hey, thank you so much for your question. That's a really good idea, some kind of like committee, like affinity group committee for each of the groups makes a lot of sense. We're still, as I said earlier, sort of piloting these, and so I have been thinking about ways to bring more people in. If you don't mind, we'll reach out to you and see what we can think about. But I think it's a really good idea to have more than more than a couple of people working on this. So yeah, thank you for that question.
And I will put the email in the group chat in case anybody has any, questions or follow-ups after this. And as we mentioned earlier, we do have a survey. We'd love for everyone to fill it out. If you do fill it out, you will be entered into a gift card giveaway. So I hope everybody fills it out.
And
I think-
what are the rules? I'm sorry, what are the rules if you're interested in running for a regional or a national board position? Any restrictions or requirements?
That's a great question, Adriana. So we actually, this year, we updated the descriptions for those positions. And we're gonna be actually releasing those in the coming weeks, I believe, which it'll kind of lay out what, the qualifications and kind of the time commitment for each of those roles. Which I think you guys can go based on that specifically. In terms of any additional rules, I mean, obviously you have to be in good standing with CHCI. You have to have completed the program. And then I think obviously for like a social media position, you obviously have to have some type of social media background for that position specifically. But I would say there isn't specific qualifications other than, you have to be in good standing with the CHCI Alumni Association. Did I miss anything else, Patty, on that question?
What I'll do is I'll drop in the chat here the bylaws that also helps answer a lot of these questions around any requirements for both the national board and the regional chapters. The one thing I'll lift up that wasn't mentioned is for the regional chapters, if folks are interested in serving on any of the boards, is to live within 60 miles of the regional chapter location.
That's a great reminder. Thank you. All right, well, we're over time. We're 2 minutes over time. I just want to say thank you again to everyone for joining us. Thank you for your patience with some of these IT issues that we had today. Really appreciate your patience. And again, I just want to say thank you to the CHCI team. As somebody who worked at CHCI previously to my current role, I know that, you know, the work that it takes to, you know, get all of this stuff done in such a short, you know, time. And so I really want to thank, you know, Pati specifically. Without Pati, I don't know what I would have done the last, you know, year and a half. So thank you, Pati, for all the work that, you know, you've been so kind and so you've had so much grace with us. And then also Dania, who recently joined. And again, I want to say thank you to Marco because, you know, and I'm just being candid, but when I think about other, you know, alumni groups and the investments they make towards those groups, I see CHCI and they're actually at a really high level. And so I think I'm very grateful for that because the investments that through Marco's leadership that we've, you know, we wouldn't be able to have Alumni Connect. We wouldn't be able to be doing the regional chapter events that we have done without the commitment from Marco and from CHCI. So I just really want to say thank you for that. And again, I encourage everybody to run for a board seat, join an alumni group in your regions, and also maybe reach out to us for any additional questions or engagement. And we hope to see you soon. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.